we are in an open relationship.
How about dinner sometime this week?
I love that.
I should have known something was wrong when Emma started giving me that look from across the room. You know, the one, that little mischievous smile she gets right before she does something completely reckless. We were at our friends Jake and Lisa's place for a party. It was a typical Saturday night, maybe 20 people, some soft music playing, cold beers in hand. I was deep in a conversation about football when suddenly Emma stood up. She was holding her wine glass, wobbling just enough to make everyone a little nervous. "Everyone," she announced, her voice cutting through the chatter. "Just so you all know, we're in an open relationship now." The room went dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Glasses stopped halfway to people's mouths. Every single head snapped in my direction. I could practically see the fantasy playing out in her mind. She expected me to panic, to stumble over my words, maybe beg her to stop, to make a complete fool of myself in front of all our friends. This was her latest test. For months, she'd been pushing the boundaries, talking about wanting more freedom, dropping not-so-subtle hints about her coworker, Marcus, and acting like monogamy was some outdated concept. But I was done being tested. I took a slow, deliberate sip of my beer, placed the bottle down gently on the table, and looked right at her. "As you wish," I said, my voice calm and steady. Her smile didn't just fade. It shattered. It was like watching a porcelain doll fall in slow motion. Before she could even process what I'd said, I turned my attention to Michelle. Michelle was technically her friend, but they were more like friendly rivals. She's sharp, confident, and completely allergic to drama. "Michelle," I said, making sure everyone could hear me, "are you free this Saturday? I'd like to take you to dinner." A smirk spread across Michelle's face. She leaned forward and said, "I can do everything better than her." The sound of a glass shattering echoed through the silent room. I heard Jake whisper, "Oh, damn." Emma's face just collapsed. The shock was total. "What are you doing?" She sputtered, her voice trembling. "I'm accepting your terms," I replied coolly. "You declared our relationship is open." "So it is." Michelle grabbed her jacket. "Text me the details." "Saturday works?" Emma tried to protest, to say she was joking, but it was too late. 20 witnesses had heard her loud and clear. She wanted attention, and boy, did she get it. But instead of attention, she got consequences. A little later, outside, Emma grabbed my arm, her grip tight. "You're actually going out with her?" she asked, her voice a mix of disbelief and fury. "You announced we were open," I said, shrugging. "I'm simply participating. I was joking." She yelled. "No," I said, turning to face her. "You weren't joking. You were testing me. You wanted a reaction. You wanted to humiliate me in front of everyone. Instead, you just humiliated yourself." She started pacing back and forth on the sidewalk, running her hands through her hair, panicking. "This is insane." "You want to know what's insane?" I shot back. "What's insane is announcing a major decision about our relationship at a party like it as some kind of cheap party trick." I didn't wait for a reply. I got in my car and drove home, alone. Around midnight, she came back. Her mascara was running down her face. "You embarrass me," she accused, standing in the doorway. I couldn't help but laugh. "No, Emma, you embarrassed yourself." She tried everything to get a reaction out of me. She got angry. She apologized. She tried to make me feel guilty. She even tried fake tears. "Can't we just forget this ever happened?" she pleaded. "No," I said firmly. "You don't get to light a fire and then pretend it never happened just because you got burned." The next morning, she begged me not to go out with Michelle. I just ignored her and went about my day. A little later, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Michelle, Saturday at 7, and for the record, she had it coming. On Saturday night, Emma sat on the couch, watching my every move as I got ready for my date. Her arms were crossed, and she was sulking like a child who didn't get their way. "Have a good time," she said, her voice dripping with bitterness. "Thanks," I replied, tying my shoes. "Don't wait up." When Michelle opened her door, she was wearing a simple, elegant black dress. She looked effortless, real. We went to a nice Italian restaurant and just talked for hours about work, about life, about the absolute mess Emma had created. There were no games, no manipulation. It was just honest conversation. At one point, Michelle leaned in and said, "You know, everyone sees how she treats you. She just pushes and pushes people until they break. You finally didn't break. She wasn't wrong." I dropped her home later that night and we were both smiling. The whole evening felt so easy, so natural. When I got back home, Emma was waiting up for me, trembling. "You actually had fun," she whispered, as if the thought was unbelievable. "I did," I confirmed. "With her?" she pressed. "Yes." She looked like I had physically punched her in the chest. "Are you in love with her?" she asked, her voice cracking. "I barely know her," I said honestly. "But she respects me. And that's a lot more than I can say about you lately." That was when she completely broke down, real tears this time. But I didn't comfort her. I just stood there. In the days that followed, she went into a full-blown spiral. First came the anger, then the guilt trips. She tried manipulating me with accidental run-ins with Marcus, followed by late-night crying sessions. When none of that worked, she switched tactics to control. Suddenly, she was calling therapists, trying to schedule couples counseling. She even drafted a list of open relationship rules, demanding we establish boundaries. After all this, now she wanted rules. Now she wanted structure. Now she wanted to be back in control. "You're only trying to fix this," I told her one evening, "because you're losing your power over me." That made her snap. "Are you really going to throw away 7 years over one stupid joke?" she screamed. "You threw it away the moment you used our relationship as a public spectacle," I replied calmly. Emma begged me not to leave. She swore nothing had happened with Marcus yet. She swore she was just confused. She swore she loved me, but every single word just sounded like a performance. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry she got caught. She was sorry it didn't go her way. That week I went to see a lawyer. We didn't have kids, we had separate savings accounts, and our apartment lease was ending in a few months. The divorce would be clean, fast, and final. She wanted to play a reckless game, and she found out what happens when you play stupid games. You win stupid prizes. Thanks for watching. If you have a story you'd like to share, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. See you next time.